Meet Jody, a 29-year-old who's been working from home for 3 years. Before this setup, she held a consulting position at a major corporation, overseeing online operations. The decision to transition to remote work came unexpectedly when she found out she was pregnant. Opting for freelancing, she bid farewell to her corporate role, embracing the flexibility it offered. With her knack for marketing, she's been successfully managing various projects and directing online operations, bringing in a decent income. However, her husband, Huey, remains somewhat oblivious to the nature and value of her work, seeing it merely as a pastime. The shift to working remotely granted Jody the luxury of time, allowing her to experience a serene pregnancy and safely deliver their daughter, Caddy. Initially, Jody stayed with her parents for support during the first month after Caddy's birth. However, Huey's insistence on her return prompted her to shorten her stay to just a month. Since then, she's been navigating the delicate balance between work and childcare, managing adequately but not without its challenges. Unexpectedly, Olivia, her mother-in-law, proposed the idea of living together. Despite initial reservations about the potential complexities, Jody agreed on the condition of building a duplex to maintain some level of autonomy. The construction proceeded smoothly, and soon they moved into the new home, sharing common spaces. While initially pleased with the arrangement, Jody's contentment soon turned to frustration as Olivia began to impose various household tasks on her, often disrupting her work. Olivia's demands grew incessant, leaving Jody little room to focus on her professional responsibilities. Even when Jody voiced her concerns to Q, she found little support, with him dismissing her grievances and insisting she comply with his mother's requests. This lack of understanding and support from her husband only added to Jody's stress, pushing her mental and physical well-being to its limits. "I'm working hard and you're just playing. That's pathetic." With every complaint I voiced, Huey's attacks escalated, dismissing my efforts as nothing more than play. Even when I insisted that I was seriously working, he refused to believe me. Cody, my father-in-law, seemed to echo Huey and Olivia's sentiments, viewing working from home as little more than a hobby. Their lack of trust in my work left me questioning my own worth, fearing abandonment due to my perceived inadequacy. Then one day, when Hugh was off work and everyone was home, I had Caddy lying next to me as I worked. Huey barged into the room with a loud noise, demanding I come to my parents-in-law's room immediately. Ignoring Caddy's cries and leaving her behind, he must have known she was there. Was the loud noise really necessary? Doubting the sensibility of Hugh and my parents-in-law, who interrupted my work, I picked up the crying Caddy and went downstairs. Entering the living room, I found the parents-in-law and Huey chatting happily. Perhaps I had reached my limit of irritation. Anger started to bubble up inside me. "What is it?" I asked quietly, sitting down with Caddy in my arms. The parents-in-law and Huey continued whispering to each other, their secretive behavior unsettling. Patiently, I waited for them to start the conversation. Then Olivia coughed exaggeratedly and glared at me with surprising words. "You leave this house," she said abruptly. I was confused by Olivia's statement. Did she mean for me to temporarily return to my parents' house? "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to remain calm. Olivia snorted and crossed her arms arrogantly. Even as I looked to Hugh for an explanation, he only smiled continuously. Was he mad, or was it me who was losing it? Why, I wondered. I needed to understand the reason calmly, so I first turned to Olivia and asked her why she said that. Olivia's eyes lit up as if she was glad I asked, and with a smile similar to Huey's, she began to rant about how inadequate I was. "Every day you neglect housework, let Caddy cry incessantly, and just play with your computer and mobile phone. I don't know if you're relying on Huey's salary, but you never listen to advice, just like a parasite," Olivia continued, laughing heartily as if she found it amusing. "I apologize for the housework, but I'm doing the basics. I also take good care of Caddy. She's quite a quiet child." I countered Olivia's accusations as much as possible. I can't just let go of my computer and mobile phone. I'm working. Isn't that understandable? Then Huey glared at me. "Are you cheating or what?" he accused, and I stared back at him bewildered by his baseless accusation. "Yes, Jody is cheating," Olivia joined Huey, pointing at me with a look of disgust. I was appalled at their audacity. "I'm not cheating." "I can show you my mobile phone right now," I said, taking out my phone to prove my innocence. But Huey just scoffed at it. "Anyone can deceive with that. Can't trust you," he said dismissively. Realizing arguing was pointless, I put away my phone for now. "We don't need someone like you. Parasites should move out immediately," Olivia continued to berate me. "Move out quickly," she continued. I started to feel like maybe leaving with my daughter was the only option. However, there was one reason I couldn't decide to leave just yet: the duplex house. I was the one who paid for it, went to the construction company repeatedly, and was particular about the interior and exterior. Therefore, I couldn't just easily say, "Yes, sure," and leave this place. Moreover, the mortgage is still in my name, and I doubt Huey's salary alone could cover our living expenses. If I leave, my income goes too. "Are you sure he can manage?" I gave them one last chance to reconsider, but Huey scoffed. "What income of yours? Don't make me laugh. We've been living off my salary alone until now." His ignorance made me feel almost sorry for him. I sighed deeply and turned to Olivia. "Hugh is quite a handful, even more than a 6-month-old daughter. Will you be taking care of him?" "Huey is high maintenance. He needs his towel, underwear, and pajamas ready after his bath, his shoes polished daily, his shirts ironed, suits deodorized, and wrinkle-free. If his morning coffee strength is slightly off, he loses his temper like a madman." I doubted Olivia could handle such a needy Huey. I asked, offering Olivia a chance. "I can do a better job than you. Who's just been playing around?" she scoffed. "Besides, if you leave, Huey already has someone else in mind." Olivia, looking pleased, said something that she shouldn't have to hear. "What do you mean?" I didn't miss a beat and turned my gaze to Hugh and Olivia. Olivia showed a look of regret and hastily averted her eyes. Hugh glared at Olivia. "Why did you say that?" he whispered in a low voice. "Explain what's going on." From their reactions, I gathered that Huey might have another woman. I glared intensely at Huey, prompting him to speak uncomfortably. Apparently, according to Huey, for several months, he's been seeing a woman named Carol, a young lady in her early 20s who fell for Hugh at first sight during a business encounter. After her advances, they started dating. Carol is beautiful, graceful, and has a wonderful personality, Hugh says with a laugh. I couldn't believe it considering Huey's looks. I couldn't fathom why such a young woman would be interested in him. Half believing, I asked Hugh for proof, thinking if it's true, I'd secure compensation. Hugh showed me his WhatsApp history with Carol, and as expected, the messages were mostly from Huey, suggesting dates and compliments. However, Carol seemed disinterested in anything beyond work, politely declining personal interactions. Moreover, she typically responded formally, with no stamps or anything, just simple replies. Stunned by Huey's smug face, I was at a loss for words. I took screenshots of the conversation, transferred them to my phone without permission, and saved them. You never know when they might serve as evidence. Then I'll leave. With all that had transpired, my affection for Hugh had cooled off entirely, and I didn't care what happened to them anymore. "I'll take Caddy with me," I declared as Huey and the parents-in-law seemed pleased with my decision to leave. Huey's face turned serious, and his raised hands fell. "What are you talking about? You can't raise Caddy without any income." "That's right, leave Caddy here." "Don't be silly, Hugh," and the parents-in-law didn't understand why I needed to take her with me. "As far as I'm concerned, I don't understand why I should leave my daughter in such a place. I've told you I have an income, and why would I leave her with people who can't even take proper care of her? When Caddy grows up, she'll work hard, and I'll relax." Hugh interrupted with his nonsensical talk as I was explaining why I wouldn't leave Caddy. My anger was building. He kept spouting selfish things, not realizing he's digging his own grave. He even plans to use our daughter as a tool. Very well then. Let's decide the custody through court. Please prepare a lawyer. Until then, I'll take care of her. But I knew that arguing here would only complicate things further with Huey and the parents-in-law, with unwavering confidence that I wouldn't lose. Once they agreed to legal proceedings, I wasted no time in preparing to leave immediately. Over the next few days, I never left my daughter's side, making all the necessary arrangements. I visited the construction company that had helped build the house and explained everything. I asked if they knew any good real estate agents to sell the house. Nick, the president of the construction company, became my ally, assuring me they'd handle everything. They quickly arranged for the sale, and to my surprise, due to the house's recent construction, pristine condition, and excellent location, it sold for far more than I expected. Simultaneously, they found an apartment for my daughter and me, a great place at the lowest price due to my budget considerations. I expressed my gratitude and began preparing to move immediately. "Oh, have you already found a place?" While packing my dishes in the living room, Olivia asked with a laugh. "Yes," I responded briefly, feeling no need to elaborate. "It'll be lonely without you," she said with a big laugh as she walked away. As unpleasant as she was, I looked around. The sofa and dining table I had bought were too large for the apartment, so I decided to sell them. Next was the refrigerator, which I also bought. It was slightly large, but I decided to take it with me and marked it with a sticker. I put stickers on all the furniture and appliances I had bought and wanted to take, and took photos of the items I didn't need with my mobile phone. On moving day, I purposely chose a day when the parents-in-law and Huey were away. Huey was at work, and the parents-in-law were called away to a community gathering. With the divorce papers Huey had given me in hand, I worked with the movers to transport my belongings. I had the construction company arrange for a waste removal service to pick up the unwanted furniture and other items. I steadily progressed with the move, and everything was finished within 2 hours. A few hours later, I left the house with Caddy. As I arranged things in the apartment, the phone rang. It was Olivia. It was already 5 in the evening. I had left before noon, so she must have just realized. I answered the call. "Jody, what's this about the house being empty?" Over the phone, Olivia seemed quite flustered, yelling loudly. "Ah, those things were mine. I disposed of the ones I didn't need." "What are you talking about?" I replied calmly. "Well, I bought them. I have receipts and other proofs of purchase, so there's no point in complaining," I said with a laugh, leaving Olivia seemingly at a loss for words, raised in nonsensical uproar. "Oh, and I sold the house, so please vacate within a month," I added cheerfully. Olivia sounded even more astonished. "Why would you do that?" "Since I built the house, it's in my name and I've been paying the mortgage, so I decided to do as I pleased. So that's that," I stated firmly, and Olivia was still trying to say something, but I hung up the phone. After that, I received numerous calls from the parents-in-law and Huey, but I ignored them all. I needed to arrange the apartment quickly for Caddy's sake and had no time for distractions. I also consulted with a lawyer, and we agreed all future communications would go through them. Months later, after repeated negotiations, I easily won custody of Caddy. The reasons were simple. I had ample financial resources. I had been the one caring for Caddy all along, and working from home allowed me to spend more time with her. Huey, who had assumed he would naturally win custody, was shocked and bitterly spat. "I don't need such a girl anyway," before storming off. Relieved that I could finally live peacefully with my daughter, I felt a sense of calm settle over me. After I left, the parents-in-law and Huey hadn't left yet. What should I do? I received a call from the president of the construction company. I simply replied, "Please evict them," and the president, knowing the situation and seemingly amused, laughed heartily and said, "Leave it to me," before hanging up. I don't know exactly how the formidable-looking president persuaded Hugh and the parents-in-law to leave, but I can't imagine. A few days later, I received a report that they've moved out, and I was impressed by the efficiency. Even that brought relief to my heart. But several months after the divorce, Hugh contacted me. By then, the divorce was final, and the parents-in-law had somewhat given up, so I hadn't blocked his number. But I immediately regretted not changing my mobile phone number or maintaining the block. Ah, long time. I was just thinking maybe you were starting to miss me by now, he said. What is he talking about? I felt more liberated than ever after the divorce, not having to care for him. I listened as Huey continued speaking. He was apparently dumped by Carol and had thought I was his only option. The way he was dumped was laughable. He went to Carol right after our divorce, saying, "We can be together right away." When he told her, "You don't flatter yourself," she responded very coldly, misinterpreting her professional demeanor at the workplace. Hugh visited her at home, resulting in a restraining order from the police. Hugh claimed, "Carol betrayed me. I dumped that woman." But frankly, I had no interest in his story. I hung up the phone while he was still talking and immediately blocked him. I blocked all messages and later changed my phone number, starting anew. I heard from mutual friends that after the incident with Carol, Huey had disputes with clients and was negatively affected at work. Perhaps feeling too uncomfortable, he resigned. Unable to secure another job, he seemed to be struggling financially, constantly asking various people for loans. The parents-in-law are probably taking care of him, but I imagine his modest income is hardly sufficient for a stable life. As for me, I'm living a fulfilling life with Caddy, dedicating my presence solely to her, which brings me the utmost happiness.